thinking about how we can bid for the next games here in Assam. And now, as an introduction to Assam, which is hosting this 27th International Delphic Games, I now call upon Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Borkakoti, who will speak on Assam's Vaishnavite saint and the Sattra institution. Dr. Borkakoti is the winner of Vaishnavite Literature Award in 2008. He is the founder president of the Society for Srimanta Sankaradeva and has been promoting the cultural heritage of Assam as a member of the International Committee on Intangible Cultural Heritage.
Dear friends, here I am to speak about a person who can be a role model for the Delphic movement. He is Srimanta Sankaradeva. For Delphic movement, the motto is peace and harmony. And this man who lived in this land 5 centuries ago brought unity among all the ethnic groups who had been at loggerheads. He took components of the cultural elements of all the ethnic groups and created the composite Assamese culture. So what is known as Assamese culture and even literature is creation of this great person. And before some time, Ramesji was speaking about connectivity. So Sankaradeva was the best person who created connection among all the people. And one institution he created was the Sattra, which was also known as Than in his time. Later it came to be known as, I'll speak next. So you please go back. This institution Than and Sattra, there are about 850 Sattras now. At one time there were about 1280 Sattras. So all the cultural lives in Assam are spearheaded by this institution, which has preserved our cultural elements. Next. The first Than was set up at Bordwa near Nagaon. This Bordwa Than is about 9 kilometers from Nagaon town. It has a Kirtan Ghar and it is surrounded by the quarters of the devotees. Next. The peculiarity of the Than or Sattra is that all the possible activities take place there except the military activity. This is one institution which can be called something pioneering attempt in social enterprise like kibbutz or commune. It covers art, culture, literature, religious activities, and even legal disputes were solved within this premises, which continues even till today. People in Assam generally did not go to the court in earlier days. Every problem was solved within the Sattra. Next. This is the entrance of a Sattra. It is called Korapat, the gateway. Next. This is the Kirtan Ghar of Bordwa, where Srimanta Sankaradeva was born, and he lived there for 67 years before moving to other place because royal persecution. He had to keep on moving throughout his life. But in spite of that, he worked for people, and he came down from the status of a king. Actually, his family happened to be the ruler of the entire middle Assam, but he gave up all those to work for the people. Next. This is the pattern of a namghar or kirtanghar. In earlier days, it used to be made of thatch and bamboo. This architecture was chosen by him because then people did not have to be dependent on the royalty. Generally, in any temple or other structure, if people have to build it, they have to take royal support in order to erect something made of stone. But here he made things with eco-friendly objects. Next. This is the altar. Srimanta Sankaradeva created something new. He was the first person in the world as a philosopher who combined the part of knowledge and part of devotion. He brought together the concept of Brahma and the concept of God, which had been a parallel concept before him. And after him, this was talked about by Spinoza. While Spinoza is known all over the world, people do not know much about Srimanta Sankaradeva. But Sankaradeva was the pioneer of Spinoza. Next. This is the inside of a kirtanghar. You can see the egalitarian atmosphere. People sit together at the same level. There is no barrier. There is no division between male-female. People of any caste, creed, sex could enter and can enter, still enter inside any kirtanghar. It is open for everyone. Next. This is called hati. There are 4 hatis surrounding the kirtanghar. The devotees live in these hatis, and the peculiarity of the Sattra institution is that the devotees living in these satras have to eke out their own living by doing agricultural work. They do not depend on others. They do not go for begging. So this is one peculiar thing out of all the religions, of all the organized religions. It is the only one where the devotees living within the monasteries have to earn their own living. In every satra, you will find the devotees doing their farm work. Next. Srimanta Sankaradeva was not only a religious proselytizer. He was a great artist, great painter, great choreographer, great musician. He created 25 ragas. He created the Sattriya dance. So all this concept of Delphic is embedded in this great genius. Next. This is the type of manuscripts which are created and preserved in the satras. The satras are centers of education also. Beautiful painting, manuscript painting are there. Next. This is another manuscript, illustrated manuscript. And we are now trying to revive this art form. Next. I talked about the agricultural activity. You can see a photograph how agricultural activities take place within the premises. Next, Ankya play. Srimanta Sankaradeva was the first person in India who composed a play in any modern Indian languages. Before him, only Sanskrit plays were written. So he is a pioneer in entire India in the drama movement. And not only a creator of the play, even the language of the play is very important, because it has been now proved by the linguist that the modern Hindi language has emanated from the language of the Ankya plays. Scholars like late Dr. Kapila Bachchan has written in her book. Next, this is a scene from an Ankya play. You can see the colorful costumes. He created these costumes from the components of different ethnic groups of Assam. Next, it is another scene, and one peculiarity and very important point to be noted here is that this Ankya play, or the hymns, or any prayer songs created by Sankaradeva are noteworthy for their ethical elements. If we leave aside the name of God, like Ram, Hari, Krishna, Narayan, it is all ethics. So he taught people to be cultured. He taught people to be civilized. And not only that, he was a global citizen. He called upon entire humanity. He did not call upon the Assamese people. He said, "O Ba Naraloka, O humanity." He addressed like that. Next, this is the Gayan Bayan. This instrument is called, this drum is called khol. So this was his own innovation, and this is a prelude to the performance of Ankya play. When the Gayan Bayan is performed, it creates an atmosphere for the main play to touch the people, just like the initial music played here of the Delphic, which creates an ambience. The Gayan Band also creates an ambience. Next, this is the compare of the Ankya play, Sutradhar. This Sutradhar is different from the Sutradhar of the Sanskrit play. The Sutradhar of the Sanskrit plays used to go out of the arena of the acting, but Sutradhar of Sankardeva's play remains in the arena from beginning to end, and if necessary, he even takes part in the acting. This is a scene from an Ankya play enacted by some Spanish actors at Guwahati. Next, this is another scene from Ankya play. Next, this is Sattra dance, which I was talking about. The first play enacted by Srimanta Sankaradeva, composed by him, was enacted in 1468 at Bordwa. It was called China Yatra, and with that China Yatra, the Sattriya dance and the Sankari music came into being. It was full of dance and music. So with the Ankya play, the Sattriya dance also came into being. This is one performance. Next. These are some of the world records of Srimanta Sankaradeva. He was the first person in the world who created and used drop scene. He was the first person in the world who used the medium of play for proselytizing, to convey something. In that respect, he was pioneer for even Bertolt Brecht, who used his play for his leftist ideology. He was the first person to use the elevated stage. After him only, elevated stage came into being in London. He was also the first person to use a proscenium, and the secondary role of the characters to send a different message, like a matter link. A matter link can be after him. So he was a pioneer for all those people, but people outside Assam hardly knows all these things. Next. The Sattra is not only for religious activity or dance or music. It is also about craft. Different crafts are taught in the Sattras and which are carried even till now. These are the costumes, ornaments used in the Ankya play, which are made in the Sattras, and now we are trying to revive it, our organization. Next. These are the masks used in the Ankya play, which are also made inside the Sattra. Next. This is one important piece of textile art called Vrindavani Vastra. Srimanta Sankaradeva depicted the life of Lord Krishna in this textile art. It was sponsored and commissioned by the Coast King Naranarayan. It was created in 1554.